Hey Radiant Souls, welcome back to my channel. It's time for another monthly energy forecast. I can hardly believe that we are going into August 2022. Time just feels really different for me this year for some reason. I don't know if you're the same way, but it's kind of shocking to me that it's August already. So if you are new to my channel and new to the monthly energy forecasts, what they are is just an overview of the energy that is going to be most, I tried to say more and most at the same time, most prevalent for those who resonate with this message. So this is not like some others, this is not forecasting events, this is not calling in things that are gonna happen. This is how do we navigate our way through it energetically. So it's more of a going within to support what we may see around us. So we started these in January 2022, and what the guides wanted to highlight today is to make note of that pathway that we've been on. It's like stepping stones. It has been guiding us, these messages have been guiding us through cycles of time as we go through the year, and none of it is coincidental. They all kind of integrate and build one upon the next to help us do the work of being human, to help us do the work of being better at being ourselves, because that's our only job here, truly. So if we look back at January, that was atonement, becoming at one with your true self and finding out what that was. February was translucent, calling in that light, identifying where the light exists for you, what things light you up, if you want to look at it that way. March was calibrating, really making those specific tweaks and adjustments to calibrate yourself to the highest and best version of yourself. April was reverberation, where we looked at those things that keep coming back around for us. And if they're coming back around, then there's a lesson that we need to learn, and there's something we need to alchemize and synthesize with that for ourselves so that we kind of clear it for ourselves and clear it for the whole. In May, we talked about synthesis, taking the different kind of discombobulated parts of our lives or of our passions, things that we're into, and seeing how those can be assembled to make us stronger and better. In June, we talked about tenacity and really showing up and committing to yourself and to your best self. And in July, we talked about illumination, how collectively the power of many spreads the messages, spreads the light, spreads the resonance, and that we are not alone in this. So that brings us now to August, where the word or the message for the month is clarity. So if you look at the definition of clarity, there are three different definitions that I wanted to share. And the first is the quality of being coherent and intelligible. I'm going to focus more on the coherent part. The second is the quality of being certain or definite. So we're going to be coherent. We're going to be certain, which I wasn't just then, but hey, I'm working on it too. And the third is the quality of being like easy to hear, a sharpness to it. So what I really liked when I looked into the word clarity was that the origin of it, it's Latin in origin, but going through like the Middle English version, it was clarity kind of meant glory or divine splendor. So I want to combine all of those together and say that for us, the message and the energy that we are looking to tune into for August is the ability to be coherent with your divine splendor, or as I often say, with your divine radiant light. So being coherent with that divine radiant light in everything you do, in every thought you think, every step you take. I don't want to start singing a song by The Police, but in everything that you do, being coherent with your divine radiant light. So what does that mean? How do we get there? How do we get from here to there? So it's really using two paths and not choosing one or the other, but blending them together so that they serve us both equally. The first is intuition. Those of you who are here are likely into that kind of thing. So just knowing how to use your intuition and getting used to using your intuition and not really seeing it, as we sometimes do, as this, it's this like holy grail of being in the world. it should be for us, and it can be for us, very, very natural. In this community, we have a lot of amazing leaders who have shows, podcasts, communities, websites, whatever it is, and they are living an intuitive life. They are voices for intuition. They are showcasing what intuition can look like, and that's amazing. But just like the guidance there was not to put any of that on a pedestal, because just like when you go to a store and you see an outfit on the mannequin, like it's gonna look a certain way on the mannequin, you try it on, it looks different on you. And it should look different on you. Everybody wears their intuition differently. So, get out of thinking that I want what she has, I want what he has. Instead, the suggestion is get clear, get coherent with, I want to be me. I want to be the best me. And if that means I don't channel my guides, or if that means I'm clairvoyant and not clairaudient, and if you don't know what those are, we'll talk about that in a second. But whatever it is for you, eyes on your paper. Develop what your gift is, because that's the specific thing that you're here to uncover and unleash about yourself. So, I mentioned clairvoyance and clairaudience. One of the plays on words that my guides love to do, and they did this month, which was great, except that it was kind of 2 a.m. when it came to me, and I might have rather been sleeping at that time, but it was to see the word clarity spelled a little bit differently, Clairity. And that is on this intuition branch of this tree, or this intuition path, using your clair senses. So if you don't know what those are, we all have a second set of senses that exist more in the energy world around us, in our energy body, that allow us to tune into different frequencies of energy. So they roughly correlate with our physical senses. So we have clairvoyance, which is clear sight, clairaudience, which is clear hearing, claircognizance, which is clear knowing, and there are others. But really working on developing those for you. Again, they're going to work differently for everybody. But starting to hone that and be in coherence with that, and not just do it as a class assignment. If you take any of my classes, you get homework. So I think that's where that guidance is coming from. Don't just do it when Heather says do it for homework, but do it, play with it, practice it throughout your entire day. Be that clear channel, be a conduit for that communication with the quantum field, with source, with yourself, with your higher self. Start using those gifts just as much as you use your sense of touch, your sense of taste, your sense of smell, all of that. Start tuning into that expanded energy, and that's going to help you bring that intuition into a normal everyday habit for yourself. So, side note, as this information was coming in, I also got the nudge or the tap on the shoulder to create a little standalone course for developing those clair senses. So that's available on my website. It starts on August 8th, because I like 8/8. But you can purchase it now, and you'll get an email when it's up and ready to go. You go at your own pace, and we talk through each of these senses, how to develop them for yourself, and some really fun games to play along with me on camera. It's not a live course, but I'm on camera and you can follow along and play some of these, because sometimes when we're in that mode of playfulness and not feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to intuit right now. What do? I need to clairvoyance, where are you? Like when we're just playing with it, we see how it works for us a little bit easier. So that's just there. I wanted to mention it as a side note while we were on the topic of clarity, because it was kind of I couldn't not use that word as something. Clair, Clairity, clarity. All right, the other side of this, that's using our intuition to help our clarity. The other side of this is our discernment. So the example that was explained to me is, if our intuition can be likened to checking the weather, our discernment is deciding whether or not to take an umbrella or whether or not to wear layers. And that's great. We need both of those, right? You can't just say, oh, it's going to be raining and not know how it impacts you. But the key here, when we're looking at clarity, is how it affects you. In our weather example, I may like to walk in the rain, Boy, those rings just clicked together. Did you hear that? I might like to walk in the rain, so maybe I don't take an umbrella. So your discernment is what's right for you. And we are collectively, maybe not you, I might not be calling you out specifically, but collectively, the energy right now is more polarity than clarity. So that's part of what we're moving and shifting to, is to move from polarity to clarity. And so what that means is I use my intuition, or I check the weather, or I hear how something's going to be. I decide I should take my umbrella, but I yell at the 5 other people I see who don't have an umbrella. You need an umbrella. You're wrong because you didn't bring an umbrella. Oh my gosh, you're going to get wet. You don't have an umbrella. Again, eyes on your own paper. Your discernment is your truth. It's not the truth for someone else. So it may not be you perpetrating that, but it may be you observing that. And so the guidance there is to pull your energy away from that. If you see that kind of thing, that kind of us versus them, the cool kids table or the not cool kids table, whatever that is, start pulling your energy back from where you see that in the world, because the less we feed it our attention and our energy, the less it thrives. So just remember, it's your discernment that is right for you, and you're gonna use that and couple that with your intuition. So how do you know if you're in polarity or clarity? If you're in polarity, you're judgy, you're snarky, you think you know better than at least one other person, but typically it's a lot of people, like, oh, well, they did something or they didn't do something, and clearly my side wins. Like, there's a lot of that out there. We know that. We can see that. We can feel that. That's not clarity. You're also impatient, and you don't see the fullness of the person in front of you. You see them for their decisions only when they don't align with you. So we have this kind of icky habit as humans to not really witness somebody in their full sovereignty. We want to be witnessed. We want to say, I believe this. This is what I'm here for, da 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 da. But we don't give the other person or people space and grace to have their own relationship with the truth, their own relationship with themselves, their own view of the world. So when we're more in a clarity mode, we have trust in everything, including ourselves. And that's sometimes the tricky one, isn't it? We have faith in everything, including ourselves. We aren't as judgy, we aren't as snarky, and we live with more intention than attention. So it's not so much, what is that person doing? What is coming? What's going to happen next? It's living with intention. Am I fully dialed into the present moment as the best and highest version of myself? I was also given a phrase that I really, really liked. I do like to play with words, if you haven't noticed, and my guides do too, so I don't think it's just me, but it's being spiritually tactical and practical. So when you're spiritually tactical, you're learning how to do things. You're learning how to move yourself through this life. You're studying topics that interest you, that resonate with you. You're calling those things in. You're finding your people, your community that you resonate with. When you're spiritually practical, you're applying what you learned. Some of us get stuck in the learning phase because it's fascinating and we want to learn all of the things and buy all of the books. I talked about that in another video. And just learn, and ingest. But if we don't take time to develop and sharpen those skills, we can't be practical with them too. So being practical is doing the work of being human, which is alchemizing things that come up for you. And, you know, it's not spiritually bypassing things and just saying, I live in the love and the light. We want to get there, yes, and that's where you set your compass, but stuff's going to come up. You're going to get afraid. You're going to get anxious. You're going to feel guilty. You're going to feel shame. When those emotions or others come up for you, they're clues that are saying, hey, you're out of alignment. Get yourself back in alignment because you shouldn't have this. And then what does it take for you to move through that, to understand what that means for you? Because just like intuition looks differently on everybody, emotions do too. So whatever work there is to do on clearing those is yours to do. So work with a counselor, a guide, someone who can help you kind of see around all your angles, if you will, and do that work so that you are tactical and practical. One way to bring those two realms, if you will, into existence is the AWARE method of conscious connection. And there's a video, I won't go through it here, but I did a video. You can check it out on my list of things, and just some different 5 steps to kind of help ground you in the moment and make conscious connections with yourself and with others. So that's really helpful when we look at that energy of tactical and practical as we are working toward clarity. So the animal for the month of August for clarity was the chameleon. So for a couple of reasons, not that they are like shifty, like not because they can be like, oh, I'm green this minute, oh, look, I'm orange. They do that as a form of communication with each other. So there's that kind of flexibility, that tactical and practical thing. They also do it to regulate their body temperature. So that's not just like we talked about, that's using discernment, if you will, to say, oh, it's cold front coming, I need to shift into brown because it's got a different frequency. They're also very aware of frequencies and things like that. And they have that cool vision where they can really look out for everything in all kinds of directions. And that is akin to using your intuition and observing a bigger slice of the pie in your particular world. What's not just, relevant for you, but how is what's relevant for you relevant to the collective as well? So the natural element for clarity is a lake, and that makes sense. If you think of looking at a really still lake, if you are on one side of the shore and you look down into the water, you can see more of the horizon. You see the clouds, you see the other trees, the shoreline, you see all of that in different perspectives because you can see it right side up as you're looking at it, but you can also look in the reflection and see all of it. So again, living intuitively, expanding your senses out to get clarity, depending on how you spell it. Clarity. I feel like I should say them differently. And then the affirmation for August is, I have to look at my notepad here. I am clearly connected to my own light, and I can adapt to a changing path with ease and grace. Because that's like so much of us, right? We think we're walking one way and something keeps coming up and we're like, whoa, where did that thing come from? Now I gotta rebuild all of the stuff I knew how it worked over here, now I gotta go do it over here. So doing that gracefully. So again, it's I'm clearly connected to my own light and can adapt to a changing path with ease and grace. Okay, now the last part of the monthly forecast, forgot what I was even doing here. The last part of the monthly forecast is the energetic frequency art, which you can see here. This is the frequency of clarity. So if you zoom in, there's lots of different reflections of light. There is a depth to this piece that kind of draws you into the middle and then pushes you back out. Like that symbol in the middle to me really seems very fluid and vibratory. So as with any month, the art is free for you to download for the month that it applies to. And I'll put a link in the box below. You can get the digital download. If you want a little something extra, you want to print it out, I offer that option as well on fine art paper. It's a really nice quality, heavyweight paper. I think they look great. They print out at 8x10 and they look really great matted and framed to 11x14. So if that's something you're interested in, you have that option as well, but free to download digitally. And I think that brings us to the end of this little shindig for this month. So can't wait to read your comments. Let me know what you think. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have an amazing day. I will see you next month, but I'll do some videos before then. So I'll see you soon. Bye.